Shalom, and welcome to another installment of Apostles of GMS, giving all praises to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Today's topic is going to be entitled, The Table of Nations. And this is going to be based upon Genesis, the 10th chapter. What we're going to do is we're going to go into the different nations, that came from Noah, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. I'm saying in the English form. And we don't have to go through everything, but we're going to jump around. It's going to lead us into certain Bible dictionaries, Bible encyclopedia, and so forth. Because we had this little thing down at the main camp where these Kemetic, it's one guy, Kemetic individual. There was another guy that was with him, and we were kind of going back and forth. It was kind of like an impromptu debate going back and forth. And he was going into the Kemetic thing, and he had mentioned the Canaanites, right, Zidonians, which all of those people that he mentioned are in the scriptures. See, what these guys don't understand, when they use the term Kemet, they're really saying the one of the sons of Noah. I believe that's the middle boy. The oldest, I believe, was Japheth. The youngest was Shem. And out of those three sons, those three sons repeopled the whole planet Earth. So you have Hamites, you have Shemites, and you have Japhites. Now we're going to clear up a lot of things because you have certain Hebrew Israelite groups or Israelite groups that say that the white man, their line goes back to the Japhetic people. Their line does not go back to the Japhetic people. And then all the break-offs from the One West school, the main school, which those different schools came from One West, like the ISUPK, you got the IUIC, you got Zabak. He represents the House of Israel.
Yeah, House of David.
You got the House of David, HODC. And then, of course, you have... I would be remiss if I didn't mention the number one group out there, Great Millstone. Yeah. And you know them by GMS, which is nothing but an acronym, all right, for Great Millstone.
Yeah. Even GOCC, he comes out of One West, Bubble Eyes.
Yeah, GOCC, yep. So then you have other Israelite groups out there, and some of them teach that the Messiah didn't come yet and that the white man, their line goes back to the Japhites. We, of course, teach that all the so-called white, not all white people. Now, the reason why I want to say that is this. You have people that look like so-called white people that are actually Israelites. So it's not like, oh, there goes a white man, he's the devil. He might be an Israelite, man. When you look at Blake Griffin's son, he looked like a little big-headed, blonde-haired, blue-eyed white boy. Little infant, toddler, man. He looked just like a white boy. But, in fact, he would be... Blake is a Levi, right? I believe his father's Levi. I'm not sure. You're not sure? You should be able to pull it up. I know he's an Israelite, just based upon the way he plays and shit. And he's Cornelius. They made a commercial where... this guy was on a horse and he had the Roman garb on, and he said, "I am Cornelius." Now that was spiritual. They could have mentioned any name in history as far as any Roman leader, but he said, "I'm Cornelius," which, by the way, he looks like he can pass for an Edomite, but he's a Jake. All right. So we're gonna cover all of that, man. We're gonna go through the Cornelius thing again. We're gonna touch upon that. We're gonna touch upon the word Gentile. We're gonna touch upon the word Greek, Grecian, Greca. We're gonna go into all of that, man. All right, go ahead, Art.
This is the book of Daniel, chapter 9, verse 8. O Lord, to us belongeth confusion of face, to our kings, to our princes, and to our fathers, because we have sinned against thee. Basically, well, I'll read the 7th verse. It says, O Lord, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us confusion of faces as at this day. You know, because you have, you know, it's twofold. You know, it's dealing with Israelites that don't know the truth, but it's also dealing with Israelites that don't know that they're Israelites. You know, you have Israelites that are among these other nations that think they're actually either Iranian or Edomite, you know, or any of the Chinese, Japanese. You know, you have Israelites spread out throughout the whole entire world, and they don't necessarily look like a average Israelite. You know, so that's what this scripture is speaking of. All right, it says, to the men of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off, through all the countries whither thou hast driven them, because of their trespasses that they have trespassed against thee.
That says a whole lot. Read that again.
O Lord, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us confusion of faces as at this day. To the men of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off, through all the countries whither thou hast driven them, because of their trespasses that they have trespassed against thee.
So, based upon that scripture, we're literally scattered throughout the four corners of the planet Earth. Literally, man. You might go out to certain parts of what's called Russia, and a lot of those people you encounter are Jakes, man. Jakes that look dark, Jakes that look like Edomites. You go down to Vietnam, a lot of those people down there are Jakes, man. You go anywhere on it, you go to Africa. A lot of those people are Jakes, because back in Egypt we left our seed with them Egyptian women too.
This is Hosea 1:10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, you are not my people, there shall be said unto them, you are the sons of the living power. You know, so basically letting you know that Israel scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. All right. So now, going to the book of Genesis, the 10th chapter, and we'll start at the first verse. And this is what the so-called scholars call the Table of Nations, you know, which is dealing with the repopulation of the earth after the flood, because during the time of the flood there were only 8 souls that were saved, and 4 of those souls were women. All right. Then after that, after the waters receded, then Noah and his family and the animals came back up off the ark, and then they started to repopulate the whole planet Earth again from those 3 sons of Noah, which was Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Matter of fact, let me jump real quick to Genesis 10 and 32. It says, these are the families of the sons of Noah after their generations in their nations, and by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood. Because if you know anything, after the flood, when the whole earth was set back up into power, but when the earth was set back up and repopulated, all those people became nations, and they had their lands that they were governing, you know, but they all were speaking the same language. And that's why you have these Kemetic people come up and talk about that, you know, that the Hebrew language is nothing but African languages. You know, well, everybody at the beginning was speaking the same language. It was called the Lashawan Kodash, or it was they call it the Paleo Hebrew.
Yeah, Lashawan Kodash. That's a name that Ariah came up with. It simply means the holy tongue. That's all it means. You know, Paleo Hebrew, or the Paleo writings. You know, it's just talking about the ancient tongue. The first we teach that there was only one language according to the scriptures. Now, if you go to Google and you put proto writing or proto script, and you look at the characters, all right? Because you have certain guys like Shaka that says that the so-called Egyptian writing, you had the hieroglyphs, you had the, is it Demontic, if I'm pronouncing it correctly?